So let's talk about blue screen versus green screen, because if we know one thing, it's that getting a good cutout is key. I'm sorry. So today I want to look at, is green better than blue? What's the difference? And why do we even use them in the first place? Well, sorry to tell you, but there's not really a huge difference for most people. Now let's take a look at why we use green and blue. That's because if we look at a color wheel, where skin tones sit is about here, and then where green and blue sit is here, so you can see that they're really on opposite ends, which means that it's going to be a lot easier for us to cut people out. So that's why we use them two colors, but let's start really looking at the differences. Now let's first of all look at the kind of obvious difference, and that is that one's green and one's blue. And so actually the main reason why you would want to use one over the other is really to do with your situation. So say for example, if I always wore a green top or I had blue hair, then these would be pretty obvious reasons to use the other one. Because if I'm wearing a green top and I'm using a green screen, then I'm just gonna be a floating head. And the same goes with plants. If for some reason you need to have plants or something green that you show in your videos, then you're gonna have a hard time separating that from the green screen behind you. Oh, and also if you have blonde or light hair, you're gonna find that a blue screen is a little bit better for you, because the green tends to be a brighter color than the blue that we use. So just keep that in mind as well, but it won't necessarily be a deal breaker either way. The next thing is software, and for the most part, if you're editing your videos, this won't be an issue, because almost all major editing softwares don't use a green or blue screen function. They use a keying tool where you can select any color and you can really try and adjust it to get the best results. But if you're live streaming, then just remember that green screens are more popular, and so some softwares actually do a better job of cutting out green than they do blue, and some don't even have an option to select blue. And kind of talking about the difference in popularity is another thing. If you've got specific needs for things like the size that you need, then you're going to find it a bit easier to find a green screen version than a blue screen, because they're just a bit more popular. And now I want to go into a bit of a visual test with you. So let's actually get out the green and blue screen. Okay, so as you can see, this is the blue screen, and this is the kind of cutout I'm getting from it. I've not necessarily changed a huge amount in the lights, but hopefully this is giving me a fairly decent cutout. And if I move a bit closer to it, there shouldn't be a huge amount of shadows that I'm getting from this, but I've got a light in front of me and then some room lights above. So this is kind of just seeing what kind of cutout we get. And now let's switch this to a green screen. Okay, so this is the green screen, and hopefully you won't be able to tell a huge amount of spill, but naturally because green is a brighter color, it's going to mean that you get more spill onto your subject, which just means it's going to be a little bit more work changing the spill suppression. And if I come a bit closer to it, you can start to see some of the shadows, but as soon as I move away, they're all gone. And also just a tip, as you can see when I move, it kind of looks a bit funny around my fingers. And one thing we can do in camera is to change our shutter speed. So at the moment, because I'm in the UK, I'm shooting at 25 frames a second, and that means my shutter speed is a 50th of a second, but we can double that up to a 100th, or if you're in, say, the US and you're using 30 frames a second, then you can go up to 120. So let me just change that quickly. And as you can see, that's kind of gotten rid of some of the motion blur, which means it looks a little bit better around my fingers. So there we go. There's not really a huge difference in it, and it's really down to your situation as to which one you're going to use. So thank you for watching. I hope this helped you a bit, and I'll see you next time. Bye.